Today is October the 12th, 2019, and we are at the Community Media Center in Westminster, Maryland. I am Bill Palm, and I am interviewing Earl Fisher. And you are from the Hampstead area now.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct? You were
Yes,
originally Baltimore, but you've been in Hampstead for...
I've been in Hampstead since the 60s.
Okay.
Well, actually, my family moved up here in 1954.
Okay.
And my father and mother started a Western Auto store in Manchester, and that's where we came up from Baltimore to there.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been in the Carroll County area since then.
Mm-hmm. And somehow you ended up in the Marines. How did that happen?
Well, I went to school. I went to school at North Carroll High School till the 10th grade. I was interested in art.
Mm-hmm.
There was really no vocational programs in Carroll County at that time. So my mother and father thought, well, maybe we should send him to a vocational school. So they did. I went to Bergenthaler in Baltimore, and I took a 3-year course there in graphic arts. Mm-hmm. I had to take it was a 3-year course, so I had to repeat the 10th grade. So then I didn't graduate until 1962, when I should have graduated in 61. Mm-hmm. And so I wasn't a great student. I was great at my graphic arts. It was the other subjects that were, you know. And so I thought, well, I don't necessarily want to go to college. So I talked to my parents a little bit, and they said, well, you know, how about the military? And I thought, well, I want to go to the best military. So we decided, well, I'll go down and enlist in the Marine Corps. And that's how that all happened.
And the Marine Corps looked best.
Well, I think it was the discipline. I liked the uniform. Probably that's what really turned me on. You know, it was like, and something to attract the girls. You know, it was one of those things.
Okay. Little did you know.
Little did I know. That's right. It was like,
yeah.
What a difference. It was something.
Okay, and you went from here to boot camp?
Yes, I did.
And how was that?
Well, it was an eye-opener. I got on my parents and my one uncle. They dropped me off at the city. Mm-hmm. That was when the train came to Camden Yards, actually, at that time. Mm-hmm. And we got on the train in Baltimore. Everybody was having a great time going to Yamasee, South Carolina. We were yucking it up on the train and, you know, just having a good old time until we hit Yamasee. And the Marine drill sergeants got on the train, and as we were getting off, and that's when my whole life changed at that time, because I was yelling and screaming, and they were right on you the whole time. And from there we got on a bus, and from the bus, and then we hit to Paris Island after the bus ride from Yamasee to, I forget how long that was. I'm not too sure. It was probably an hour or so, I would think, somewhere around it.
But felt.
By itself, yeah, and
yeah.
On the bus ride. And
yeah.
And it was kind of quiet on the bus. It wasn't like riding down on the train. So when we got to Paris Island, then you met the couple other drill sergeants, and then they herded you into a barracks. This was early in the morning, probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Mm. Well, at 6 o'clock in the morning, all these 2 other drill sergeants came in, throwing garbage cans down through the middle of the aisle and waking you up, and you just didn't know what was going on there. You know, and you're tired, sleeping, and it was confusing. It was total confusion. So that was the beginning of it, and then from there, as I'm sure you've interviewed other Marines, it just. But
those drill instructors shaped your life.
Yes, they did, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah, you were recreated as a different person.
I was still the same person inside, but they kind of honed that to a little. I became a man instead of a young dumb kid at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you became a rifleman too?
No, I went from Paris Island. I went to a infantry training school, which I think all Marines do, and after infantry, every Marine is a rifleman. Every Marine is a rifleman.
Right.
So from there, from the infantry training, I went to a school company at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina, and that school I was a 1144. I think that was my MOS. I'm not sure I'm not sure about that. Anyway, I was a plumber. I was a plumber, but as a plumber, there was a lot of different ways to go there. But I learned water purification is what I did. Is what I did actually. But it was a plumbing school, basically. Basically, what it was. And then from there, I went to. I was assigned to the MCAS Air Station at El Toro, which is not there anymore. That's been dismantled at this time. And I went to a couple of schools out there. I went to a motor transport school. I went to a nuclear biological chemical warfare
CBR.
School. Yeah, yes, which was real interesting. That was. I mean, you went through the whole thing with the gases, different gases. In fact, I have a scar on my wrist area here where they put a piece of little drop of mustard gas on your arm, and then you had two spots on there, and then I still have the scar where you didn't treat one, but you treated the other, and that was an interesting part. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
But in that school, and then they were experimenting with LSD. We didn't do any of the LSD, but they showed films of, people that they've spread. I don't know how that all worked, but it was really interesting. It was cool. It was good.
Well, this is all early 1960s. So.
Yes. Yeah, well, I was early 60s. Yep.
Yes, and you were in 62 to 60.
62 to 66. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And then from there, finally, what did they do with you?
Well, then from there, I was stationed at El Toro. Then President Kennedy was assassinated, at which time I was out on leave or on liberty, and I came back from liberty, and there was nobody on the base at the main base, and I thought, what is going on here? I had no idea what was going on. So I had to go out to my outfit, and we were packing everything up. Didn't know exactly what was going on. Didn't know what was happening, and of course, I guess didn't know where there was a war going. What was the assassination about? It was pretty confusing. But we packed up every little bit of equipment to go wherever we were supposed to go, but there wasn't anything at that time. Yes. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, but I was not aware of that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we were ready to go to wherever in the world there was a conflict at that time.
Okay, were you on active duty when we had the Cuban missiles?
I was, but I didn't. I was in boot camp then, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I was in boot camp at that time.
Okay. Okay, so you weren't mobilized because you weren't trained?
No.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's kind of...
Wow, yeah. And then from there, where did you...
Okay, from there, after that all happened, and that all settled down, and so then I went to Okinawa, and so and from Okinawa to Vietnam. I was in Okinawa maybe 4 months, 5 months, I guess, something like that, which was a great duty station. There was lots of things to do there, and nice beaches, and the Okinawans were a good bunch of, really nice bunch of people. And so then they just started, from there I went to Vietnam by ship. I went on a ship we packed up all heavy equipment because I was in an engineer battalion at that time, which I was a support company.
Yeah, yes.
And we packed up all heavy equipment, bulldozers, graders, all in the base, all on the bottom of one of the LSTs. And I can still remember that. It was probably 120 degrees in the well of that
Oh, I'm
ship.
sure.
It was, and had to just load all that stuff up and then unload it when we got to Vietnam. And then from there, I was, I was at the Da Nang Air Base. That was where I was. And I've told this story to my friends and a lot of people. I can remember just sitting outside of our tents in Da Nang and sitting on some sandbags. So they had sandbags around everything. And I was watching I guess it was the Phantom jets. What are they? The F9? What are they? Anyway, the Phantom. And they would fly up, and I'd see them go up, and they'd be back, and they would fire their rockets. And I just was sitting there thinking, wow, that's real stuff they're doing there. That's the real thing going on out there. And that's when it dawned on me. I'm in a war over here, you know. It was kind of woke up a little bit there. Then let's see, and from Da Nang, I was attached to a couple of different infantry outfits. One was the 9th Marines, as I recall, and what I had to do there was purify water for drinking water, for showers, infield showers. We had portable shower units that were for the troops. And most of it was water purification. And I was out in the villages, and we would take water out of the swamp area or little rivers, and we had to chlorinate it, take all the impurities out of it, and then for drinking water. Which was pretty important at that time. Yeah, I think if you don't have water.
Yeah, and the local water was heavily contaminated.
Oh, heavily contaminated. Yeah, it was just, it wasn't much. It was pretty nasty. It was pretty nasty. Yeah. But by the time we got done with it, it was great. I mean, and we would fill up the water buffaloes that would actually the tanks that would come around and pull by trucks, and then we'd fill those up, and then they would take those to the different outfits where they had to go.
Were you able to filter the water as well?
Yes.
As, okay.
Yes.
Oh, see,
chlorinated it.
Real water treatment.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we had all portable. We also had some desalination units too that we had to.
Okay, so you could use seawater.
Yes, you could use seawater too. Didn't get into that too much. It was, yeah. But anyway, that was so then. Come under a fire a couple of times. It was. I think the war was like a couple of the other guys you've probably interviewed. The war didn't really start to escalate until after the, like the mid '60s. Somewhere when. But came under fire a few times. A couple mortar attacks on there was an Amtrak battalion or a company or that's that size next to our water point, what it was, and they were catching mortar fire from there, and kind of a scary thing because you could, as you probably know, you hear it leave the tube.
Yep.
And you don't know where it's going.
Well, you can hear it in flight.
You can hear it in flight, but you don't know where it's happening.
Absolutely. All of a sudden, things start to drop in from the sky.
Yeah. Right. So it's kind of a scary thing. Absolutely. And I heard you interviewing some other people. You were in the infantry or the artillery, and there was a 155 company that would fire over top of us, and you could hear those babies go whistling, and then you could look off into the distance and you could see where they were landing. It was quite a experience. You don't know where they were going to go either. You know, something. So that's. Let me see. That's about my Vietnam experience. It was totally different than than an infantry person, but you still had those infantrymen had to rely on us too. But there's some great fun times too. That, like a couple of your other, the camaraderie there was always there in the Marine Corps. It was a great thing. Great thing.
And have you encountered people from your unit since then?
I've got in touch with a couple of fellows from my Paris Island platoon, and we get together once every couple of months for lunch, that kind of thing. And one is located in Mount Airy, which I didn't know at the time, in boot camp, and the other one was from Baltimore. And they're the only two that I really had contact with out of all the. But I didn't really get real close to anybody because I was always going attached to this unit, attached to this unit. So I lost a couple of real good young men that I was with that worked with me at the water point when we were purifying water, and I left, and I left them there. I went back home. I was back there, and they were killed on after I had gone, and I still to this day I think of them every day I wake up, and I just feel like here these young men never had the chance to raise a family or have children, and how fortunate I am to be sitting here talking to you and anybody else that's watching that I've raised a family. I have 3 daughters, and they have children, and I just think of those couple men that never had that opportunity. And
you ever go visit the wall?
I have.
And you look.
In fact, the fellow you just interviewed, we both went down there, and it's quite a moving thing. And they're on there.
Yeah, you go down there and you look for the people that you knew.
Yes, I do. Yes, it's a great thing. That's pretty emotional down there.
Yes,
that's a pretty emotional thing.
Yes. And then what happened after you got out of the?
I got out in '66. I was also extended. I was extended in Vietnam for 3 months, I think. I was supposed to get out in August of '66, and I didn't get out until October or somewhere around there. And there was once I got out, I hooked up with my girlfriend that I left behind there, and in fact, one of the reasons I always tell this story, I was having some kind of fight with her before I left, before I left for Vietnam, and I said, I just want to go as far away as I possibly can go. Well, the Marine Corps did that to me, and they sent me as far away as they possibly could. But I married her, and I've been married for 53 years, same woman. So I went to work when I got out of the Marine Corps. I went to work at Black & Decker in Hampstead, like everybody else did. Lived in that area, worked at Black & Decker at least once or time. And my father also worked there too, so that's probably where I had a little bit of and I was in the quality control there, and I worked the 12 to 8 shift. I didn't like that very much, so I thought I'd like to get back into the graphic arts part of my life again, and which I did. I went to work for a printing company here in Westminster.
Opera House, or
actually, it was Opera House.
Yeah,
but it was before it was Opera House. It was called M&R Printing.
Okay.
But then it changed to Opera House, and I worked at M&R Printing. But the same fella, he had Opera House, so I worked there, and then I left Opera, or was it? It was M&R Printing then. I left there and I went to work in the city at a printing company called Collins Litho, and we did books and things for Johns Hopkins Press, and I learned whole new thing with the printing industry. I was in the pre-press part of it, and I did camera work and laid out the films. At the time, that's how you did printing. You had to take the picture of the sheet or your paper or whatever you're going to print, and then so from there I went to another printing company in Timonium at the time. And then I thought, well, if I ever want to do something on my own, I better do it now. So this was probably from 1992, I guess it was. So I started my own business over in Hampstead. It's called Duo Graphics. And I do sign work. First I did pre-press work. Well, when the computer industry came in, just all that went down the tubes. And I mean, all those jobs were gone. I mean, I had no. So I thought, well, boy, I better be doing something. So I started a little sign shop, and it's not a very big thing. It's just, and I retired, and I still do that. I still make signage for just small signs, yard signs, architectural signs. Just and it keeps me busy. And I have a group of guys that come in every Thursday, and you just interviewed one of them not too long ago, and they all come in there on Thursday morning, 3 Marines, two Navy guys, and we get together and we just do the same thing that you and I are doing right now. We were just, we talk about politics, we talk about what's going on in the world, we talk about our military experiences, which is, and it's good for all of us, because we just, we just get to talk about things, and not some of the good things, some of the bad things, but it's a really, really good thing for all of us there.
Okay. Any parting thoughts about the Marines and your military experience?
What's that?
Any parting thoughts about your experience with the Marines?
Let's see. Lots of boot camp things. I can, let me see. When I first got there, they tell you to shower, shave, hit the head. So you're just herded in there and shoved in there. So what happened was I got in there and I was shaving, and I just ripped my lip open. And so you're holding this, and you get so you had to run back, and so. And I was standing there at attention, and I'm bleeding on the floor, on the deck. So the drone instructor, he said, he's one of those kind of guys. He says, "Who told you to bleed on my deck?"
Sounds exactly.
Yeah, and it's like, what do you say? Yeah, you don't know what to say. And so my nickname, of course, I think everybody gets a nickname in the Marine Corps boot camp. So my nickname was Private Lip. That was my name. It was Private Lip, and that carried through me the whole time I was a boot camp. I was Private Lip. It didn't matter, and it was that was one thing. There was just so many, at boot camp especially. I mean, you laugh about them now, but it's like, jeez. But that was where when they told you to do something, you did it. You asked no questions, and I think that's what carried through in wartime and those things. You did what you had to do, and those are the things. But yeah, lots of good times.
Okay. Well, Greg, it's been really an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Well, you too.